Hello everyone and welcome back to Great Deltan. Today is part 5 of the branchline build and we're going to be doing a lot of ballasting today. This isn't going to be a particularly long video, neither will it be particularly unique. I'll just show you my method of ballasting. It's pretty cliche, pretty general, but it is part of the process, so I thought I'd stick this in here anyway. Gonna jump straight into it, and then what I'll do is I'll just show you this one straight section of track and then I'll get on and ballast the rest. It's not going to be particularly interesting just looking at me ballast a load of track, so we'll get straight into it. Before I'm ballasting, I have prepped the area just by hoovering all of the dust and sawdust and some of the track dirt which had been ground off when I was using the abrasive rubber. This just makes sure that anything on the track doesn't get stuck where it's suddenly sitting. The product I'm using is this Woodland CNX Fine Ballast. I've used it for quite some time now. It's nearest size to N gauge without using stuff like sand. It's one of the finer ballasts you can buy, although it still is slightly out of scale. It looks generally good enough for what I want, and I use the grey blend colour, which is a mix of light and dark blends of grey. I have used just the light stuff in the past, but it just doesn't look realistic enough. This is a nice mix to give some contrast, but also plain enough so that it makes a good blank canvas for some track weathering. So, I haven't actually opened this yet. Open the pot. Now, I don't tend to use anything smaller to contain it. I'll just pop a bit on and then I'll use a paintbrush just to brush it along and neaten it up, and then we'll go from there. I don't tend to like having any ballast on the sleepers. I know some people like to. I just prefer not to have it. I think generally most areas of the network the ballast is kept off the sleepers just to eradicate any possibility of issues with the train tyres. So yeah, I'll try and keep it as neat as possible. I'll probably do it just outside the chunking and then the other side just so it encloses the catch pits. So I've got about ½ an inch of ballast each side then. I think that'll look pretty nice. So I'm going to get on, I'll pop all this on and I'll neaten it all up, and we'll get back to you when we come to the gluing. Okay, so we are now ready for the first stage of the glue. I'll probably glue right from down here up to about here, and then I'll leave this loose, which will then allow me to continue onto the next section while this bit's drying, and then I know I'm not going to accidentally brush any of the currently drying ballast out of the way. So the first step is to spray all of the ballast with some water. This is a bottle I made earlier. It's got a bit of dishwasher detergent in it which thins the water, and then that allows all the liquid to soak down to the base of the ballast, allowing every single bit of ballast to get soaked. And then when it comes to gluing, it should mean that all the glue reaches all relevant pieces of ballast. This bottle is particularly useful because it has good atomization. You don't want any streaks or thin jets of water coming out of the bottle tip, because that will just blast all of your nicely fresh laid ballast out of the way. So it's got good atomization. I'm just going to spray a bit here and there. As you can see, it's not really taking too much of the ballast out of the way. I'm going to get a nice layer of liquid on here. Not really too fussed how much I use. I don't want it obviously to pool, because then that will start to affect where the ballast sits. So I think that should be enough. What I'm then going to do is just make up my glue solution, and that will be a 50-50 mix of PVA and water, and then also I'll add a bit of dishwasher detergent to that as well, allowing the glue to soak through completely to the bottom of the ballast. Right, the glue is all mixed, and for application I just use this pipette. It has many uses, and one of them is gluing, because you can direct it exactly where you need it to go. So I'll just grab some glue, stick it on, and you'll see it will spread out nicely between the sleepers due to this soaking that we've already done. I'll probably put a fair bit of glue on this. I only want to have to do this once. And I'll just spread it all around everywhere. Some of the ballast may run off a little bit, but it shouldn't be too difficult just to do a little bit of neatening when it's all dry. So let's get all of this glue on and then talk you through the last step. Well, that's pretty much it, to be fair. Like I say, a very generic method. Hundreds of modelers use it, and there's probably hundreds of video out there on ballasting. But like I say, it's part of the process, so I thought I'd just do a quick video to demonstrate it. I'm going to leave this to dry now. Due to this being, unglued over here, I can continue now. If I have time this afternoon, I'll get as much all the way up to the end of the curve done. And then what I'll do is I'll join you once this is dry. There's just a little bit of neatening up to do, and then that will conclude this quick video. Okay, welcome back. I ballasted all of this on the Friday. It is now Monday, so it's been drying for a good 3 days, and it's nice and rock solid. So the last step is a 5 sub-step cleaning process, just to neaten things up. Firstly, I'm going to use this self-tapping screw to clean off all of the individual bits of ballast which have dried themselves onto places I don't want them to be. When you glue, they do tend to end up having a lot of ballast move around here and there. It's just the nature of the fluid of the glue, but it's not excessive. So any bits that have stuck themselves to the sleeper chairs or the side of the rails, the trunking, the catch bits, I'll just give them a scrape. It won't take long, and they will be nice and loose then. Second step is to give the rails a clean. This is because they would have gained a film of glue around them, especially on the sides. They've gone a kind of green colour. I'm guessing that's from either oxidisation of the rail or the water and glue drying from the liquid and just leaving the washing up detergent behind. Not quite sure, but that'll be done. Again, with the self-tapping screw, it should peel off relatively quickly. Third step is to use an abrasive rubber to clean the tops of the rail heads, again just to get that film of glue off and ensure that the rail is nice and clean for the loco wheels to get a good contact from. Step 4 is then to use a chisel, and what I'm going to do is just make a nice neat edge on the side of the ballast here, and all of the ballast which has stuck itself to the surface on both sides where it's just spread out, scrape off, don't need it. You'd imagine that when the ballast was laid, they made it a fairly nice straight edge on it. And ballast doesn't really tend to move once it's laid. It's pretty heavy, doesn't catch the wind, doesn't float if it floods. So even after all these years, you imagine the ballast would still be in place. And then step 5 is just to give the whole area a good vacuum with Henry, and then that is pretty much done then, and that's the ballasting process. got a lot to do still, probably about a third of the way through. Just got about a couple of foot to finish around the curve back there, and I've obviously got to go back towards the station. There's a lot more details and point work around that end, so that's going to take a little bit more time, but this was a good demonstration for this video. So I'm going to get on and do all of this cleaning now. Should take a couple of hours hopefully, and then we'll join you with the finished result. Well, that brings us to the end of this video. You can see here now the difference between this section and the further section which I've not yet got round to neatening. There's still a little glue residue here and there on the tracks, so I might have to adjust the solution for the next load of ballast, but it doesn't look too bad. It'll all be covered with the track weathering anyway, so it won't be noticeable. Just parked the 158 on there, just for a quick photo opportunity, and I'll stick that in at the end of the video as well. Apologies for the lack of versatility in the stock at the minute. It's all away for the winter to minimise the risk of any damage, and to be fair, this is probably the only bit of Branchline stock that I have at the minute. It's the only DMU I've got, and it's the only thing that's going to operate this that will fit in the platform, so I thought I may as well just use the stock that's intended for the Branchline. So in some aspects this would be done in some modeller's eyes. You know, it's been ballasted, it's been detailed. However, to me this is a blank canvas for what could be some really nice track weathering, and that will be the focus of the next video. But for now, I'm just going to have to get on with the rest of the ballasting. I've got this section to neaten up, and then as I say, I've got about another 2/3 of it to do. This will probably be the last video before Christmas. Can't imagine myself getting out the track weathering video before then, because it is going to take quite some time to ballast all this, and then also to film the track weathering video as well, as that is very, very tedious and long process. So appreciate you all watching. Hope you stay tuned and are enjoying the Branchline build. If I don't see you again, have a great Christmas all, and I'll probably see you in the new year. Thank you again, and bye-bye.